Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're covering the long-awaited Looney Tunes sequel, Space Jam: A New Legacy.
And this time, famous basketball player LeBron James is sucked into the Seververse of Warner Brothers and is forced to win a basketball game to save his son. So the Looney Tunes get their game on once more, nothing like the first movie.
Unfortunately. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and notification bell to future podcasts and all the pause videos.
Absolutely.
Now, we do know there will be some that like this movie for as it is. If they had a different opinion on the first one, and we think it's fine, it's weird you found something that you like about it. Whether you like or hated the first movie, you might like or hate the second one too. However, for us, it was really missing a lot of the charm that the first one had.
It was missing a lot of everything the first one had. And we weren't expecting a duplicate before. You think we just wanted it to be another Space Jam.
Right.
No, we wanted it to be its own movie, but we wanted to still have, as you said, the charm, the feel, the fun of the first movie. And it just wasn't there. And in this movie, unlike Space Jam 1, where Looney Tunes characters were the stars, and Michael Jordan was just making a guest appearance with the other players, in this one, it was clear that it was supposed to be LeBron James' movie, and Looney Tunes were just making an appearance, which really, really didn't work out.
Yeah, and the issue with that is that it takes about 30 minutes for Looney Tunes to appear. The first quarter of the film is dedicated to LeBron James. Now, we have no problem with LeBron James as a basketball star. I think it's awesome that he's such a fantastic player and is famous. However, in this film, unless you are a super fan of LeBron James, the movie constantly says about LeBron, and it talks about him non-stop for 30 minutes straight. It's like, we understand he's big, but is there a movie here? Because it's all about him.
Here's the problem. It didn't really talk about LeBron James. It was a LeBron James for the movie. It wasn't his real wife or his real son, just like in Space Jam. It wasn't Michael Jordan's real wife and his real sons and daughter. So you weren't finding anything about LeBron James. It was a version of him. Which is why, to me, it didn't make sense that, as you said, a quarter of the movie was wasted on a backstory that wasn't even real. Give us the Looney Tunes, and then they find LeBron James, or however they wanted to bring him in, and that works, because this movie's version of LeBron is not the real LeBron.
Unfortunately, no. And that's a shame, because with Michael's, it kind of felt like you were getting the backstory and the inspiration and stuff for it. They may have not stuck like 100%, but it felt like that was a more genuine take on him rather than this. This seemed like they tried to create a conflict for him. His conflict here is, well, for Michael, is just that he thinks he doesn't need to play basketball anymore. It's behind him, then he should be doing baseball or something else. He should be moving on. And here, LeBron James' conflict is that video games, he liked video games as a kid, and because he was so distracted playing Looney Tunes video game, he lost one of his games in school, and his coach was on him that he can't focus on games. Your life's gotta be basketball nonstop, or else you're not gonna get anywhere. And now that's affected his life so much that he's telling his son the same thing. He can't be into video games or anything. If it's not basketball, he doesn't care, which is a bit odd to have, because his son creates a basketball video game. Clearly he has interest in basketball anyway, and he's able to take the real life essence of people and the likeness and the skills and stuff and put it into a game. And it's like, wait, why are you against this again? It's still about basketball. It's just in a digital form. Why are you so against it?
It was really weird, and there was not a chemistry between LeBron and the kid who played his son. There was no chemistry between him and
Bugs Bunny?
Green, no, Sonora Green, I think that's her name.
Oh, okay.
Who played his wife. There was just no chemistry amongst the ones that were playing his family. Now, she was great on her own, and the one who played his son was great on his own, and LeBron was even convincing as being the version he was in the movie. But together as a unit, it just didn't work. And then you had Don Cheadle, who was just, I was like, okay, I was excited Don Cheadle was going to be in here, big fan. I wasn't excited about the role they gave him. As usual, he was was brilliant as the villain. I mean, he wasn't going to do a bad job. But it didn't fit in with the movie itself.
Right. So this is when the movie starts becoming one gigantic Warner Brothers showing off the collection movie, which would have worked like the original, where it was just a bunch of product placement in there with a story. And here, the Warner Brothers stuff takes precedent over everything. And his name's Algae Rhythm, and he's in control of the Warner Brothers server, so he knows about all the franchises and the algorithm. Basically, he thinks this is what people want to see. So according to him, he thinks people want to see LeBron James in every movie. We'll put him in a movie and he'll be the star of everything, and every movie will be infinitely better because he's in it. And it's like, but what survey are you taking to get those results?
But
and
then that wasn't even the truth, because he really wanted to take over.
Yeah, and then he got upset because he didn't want to be in the movie or the game. So he took him in there and said, okay, you don't want to do it, and you want your son back, play a game with me, and I'll let him go. And it's like, wow, that really just went crazy. Like, when will you see a day when aliens coming over to take over a Looney Tunes town, challenging to a ball game, made more sense than a computer program challenging a basketball player for the fate of something.
For the fate of a father figurehood. That's what it was. He wanted his son to see him as the father figure and the hero. And that, again, is what was the problem with this movie. Again, it was all about this version of LeBron. It wasn't about saving the universe. It wasn't about
at the last
fun and just goofiness and all of that. And it failed.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the Warner Brothers characters failed because, as you mentioned, it took over 30 minutes for them to be introduced. And then they weren't even the stars. If you're going to see something called Space Jam based on the first one, you expect the Looney Tunes characters to be the stars. Every commercial they had, they weren't shown. The only people who were shown were LeBron James, and it wasn't focused on the Looney Tunes characters. It was focused on LeBron and Zendaya playing Lola Bunny.
Yeah, that's
all it was. And it was like, but what about the Looney Tunes?
Yeah,
and what about the goofiness, the nonsense, the looniness?
Yes.
And it not only was it missing from the commercials,
yeah,
it was missing from the trailers, and it sure in the heck was missing from the freaking movie.
Yes, because people were saying, you know, if you're gonna break the fourth wall and say, hey, these are the voices, why not just put the voices of the Looney Tunes alongside with Zendaya? But they only want to promote Zendaya because she was the movie star. Everyone else was the cartoon character. Or if you're gonna do that, the cartoon character to have Lola Bunny be Lola Bunny, and you know it's Zendaya,
right? But
Lola's the star. She just happens to be the voice.
And that's what I expected. But no, they kept saying Zendaya. We know it's Zendaya. We love Zendaya. Say Lola Bunny and LeBron James. That's how it should have been done. Actually, it should have been where all of the Looney Tunes characters that were going to be playing were focused. And now the second problem with the Warner Brothers properties is that they promised that you were going to see all of the characters and actors and all the things that they have copyrights to that are their intellectual property in this movie. They lied. There were a bunch of people that were clear, that were extras, like Bakugo said.
Yes.
They were just freaking extras, and they were in crappy costumes, pretending they were characters, and half of them you didn't even know who they were.
Yeah.
And it was like they had just dressed it whatever they decided they wanted to be, and they were in the movie. And it was like, where are all of the Looney Tunes characters? Where are all the characters from movies you've had? Where are all the live action characters we're expecting? They didn't deliver. I'm sorry, they lied. They didn't do what they said, and it was a cheap attempt to get us all to watch, which we did, to see a movie that we expected to get that we didn't receive, to see characters we expected to see that weren't even in the movie at all, nor did they ever have any intention of putting them in there. This is why this movie flopped. And if you can't blame LeBron, because he can only perform what you give him. You're the ones decide to stroke his ego and make him the star and keep calling him king and make him all about this. I think he would have been fine if you had put him in a role where the Looney Tunes were the stars and he was secondary. But no, you decided to do that. But you know, I take that back, because wasn't he one of the producers?
Yes.
Okay.
And it got so bad, that even the bonus features, not one time do they talk to the people that voice the Looney Tunes. They only talk to Zendaya because she's a star. Everyone else got ignored, and they only talk to the live action actors. It was like, kind of a letdown to see that, because in the original, they probably most likely would have done that. Yeah, it would have been silly and unnecessary, but it would have been hilarious. Like, they know they're in a movie.
Right. Now, here's the thing. Normally, we lead off with, we tell you the good things. The best thing about this movie was Zendaya was in it.
And the 2D animation looked really good.
And that was it. And that's really sad to say, not only about a Warner Brothers movie, but about a movie that's going to have the moniker Space Jam and a 2 after it.
Yeah.
You wanted something that was going to be so incredible, so outstanding that, yeah, like you promised, it was going to be better than Space Jam. That's what you wanted. It's a sequel. And from one of the greatest, as you said, the greatest basketball movie ever made, from one of the greatest matchups, I should say, of animation and live action together. But you didn't deliver on anything that you promised in the trailers or the ads. You didn't deliver on anything but giving us Zendaya as Lola Bunny. That's all you succeeded. Oh, and LeBron in the movie.
Yeah.
That's it.
And which brings us to what probably might be the biggest point. We already know about the thing with Lola Bunny. They've updated her. It's done. It's over with. Whatever. We're past that. The biggest problem for us was that this movie was so intent in its advertisement, in its feel, in its writing, in its filming. They wanted people to find, or kids, I guess, new kids to find this movie of Space Jam to be cool. They didn't want it to be goofy, silly, family. No, they wanted to be like, ooh, LeBron's in it.
Guess what? They succeeded on it being family. It wasn't goofy. They succeeded in those things.
Yes.
But it sure in the heck wasn't cool.
Yeah, because when you see it, I mean, you might laugh a few times or more, depending on how you will view the movie in the first one. There isn't really a huge-handed comedy and the slapstick and stuff. Everyone's kind of, they toned down the Loonies, which they claim was a complaint for Lola. Everyone was kind of toned down, even to the point where Bugs, he was depressed because everyone left, because the algorithm said that Looney Tunes were outdated, they were passe. They sent them off because Warner Brothers doesn't need them, and Bugs wouldn't leave. So he sort of had this arc where the Looney Tunes were his family, and he wants them together. So instead of getting all these big name Warner Brothers animated characters like LeBron wanted, he went and got all his friends up because that's who he wants back. Now, at one point, that actually wasn't a bad idea.
And that's what they should have gone with.
Yeah, that was not a bad idea. I actually liked that concept where, you know, we've been together for decades. That's his family.
But the problem is it didn't come up until almost the end of the movie.
Yeah, but so now the film is intense and incisive on telling you, look, okay, LeBron's cool, Looney Tunes are cool. They even put them in other Warner Brothers movies in place of other people. And sometimes there were movies that weren't even relevant anymore, or new stuff because, like, The Matrix, because it was coming out at that time, Matrix coming out that same year. It was so intense, saying, look how cool Looney Tunes are. Look how cool they can be in other movies. Look how cool they are rapping.
The worst sacrilege to this movie, there were two. One, they had the audacity to have a stupid rap.
Yes!
And it was a stupid rap because it was a stupid rap. It wasn't because it was rap. It was because it was stupid.
Yes!
The lyrics didn't make any sense. It was inserted in a dumb place. That was the problem with it.
And
if it had something fun, or something that had something to do with the movie, or something maybe that was, you know, describing the plot or something, that would have been great. But no, it was just there.
And the problem was, they have Porky. That would have been perfect, but they screwed up the perfect opportunity. That could have been brilliant, but they screwed it up.
And then the second thing that was just didn't have a place in this movie that you claim was a family movie are characters they had from one of the most controversial movies ever made.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yes.
Yes. They replaced Pepe Le Pew with Speedy Gonzales because they claimed he was inappropriate for times now. But then when people were watching trailers and clips from the movie, they included Pennywise from It, next to LeBron's movie son, and two guys from the Clockwork Orange movie.
And it's like, what in the hairy head are you doing?
And it's like, but the Clockwork Orange...
But Pepe Le Pew was offensive.
Yes.
All they had to do was have Pepe Le Pew in the movie and shut up. That would have solved it. He didn't get to talk. He was just in the movie, which is what you did with a lot of characters you had in the audience. Yeah. We were waiting for them to speak. Foghorn, Leghorn, different people. None of them spoke. So all you had to do was put Pepe Le Pew in it, and he didn't speak. That's it. But no, you had to make a big deal out of it and pretend it was all about something it wasn't. It didn't make any sense. It was almost like you were trying to gain free publicity for this movie.
Yeah.
Same thing with Lola Bunny. Nobody ever had a problem with the way Lola Bunny looked, how she looked in the previous movie, nor in this one. She was fine both ways. All you cared about is her attitude. She was intelligent, and that she was commanding, and that she knew how to play basketball, and she was always smarter than the guys. All the time. Even in the first movie, she was.
Right.
And she had this cool, calm personality that, you know, she wasn't bothered by anything.
Right.
Even when things were happening in the first movie, she kept it cool.
Yeah.
And then in this one, it should have just been the same way. She had on a basketball uniform, people. It was big. You couldn't see her figure anyway, so who cares how she was drawn underneath?
There was
you couldn't see
there.
anything.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter how she was drawn. She was covered up.
Yeah.
But again, it was like they wanted free publicity for this movie. They wanted controversy so that people would talk about it, and it did happen. But it was, both of these things had nothing to do with the movie. Pepper Le Pew should have been silent, and it shouldn't have mattered what Lola was drawn like, because she had a big uniform covering her up.
Yeah.
Because that's the way the basketball uniforms are made now.
Right.
So both of these were immaterial.
Yeah, exactly. And the game itself was okay. It sort of just repeated the format of the first film and a fake out death. That was really it. There really wasn't much about the game itself. The one thing you're looking forward to most of the movie, it waits till over an hour in to get to. It was the same thing as the first movie. That's pretty much describes the whole thing.
Yeah.
So we can't even go into detail much about it, because watch the first movie, it's the same thing but with a robot, a time robot, a hawk, a spider, and the same thing where they use the likeness of real basketball stars to make monster forms of them. That's it.
And I didn't understand why they didn't have two people make a guest appearance. One, Wayne Knight, because he was in the first one. Why wasn't he LeBron's agent, or why didn't he come up in it? He could have just made a guest appearance. We would have loved a cameo. And number two, they kept saying Michael Jordan's going to be in it, and I guess it was supposed to be funny when Michael B. Jordan showed up. It was, because like, oh, it's funny, and then you were waiting for the real Michael Jordan to show up after him.
Yeah.
That would have been brilliant, but no, you just put in Michael B. Jordan, who we love, nothing's wrong with him, as the joke, and then you kicked him out because he wasn't the real Michael Jordan. Like, we don't want to see you because you're not the real
Yeah, that
one.
was literally their
And it
attitude.
was
They
like,
said just to leave. Just
what?
leave.
That's not funny. Why didn't you have him stay there anyway? And then later on, the real Michael Jordan made a cameo appearance. But no, I guess they wanted the only star in here besides Zendaya to be LeBron. And that just really there was the last nail in the coffin for me. This movie, for me, I will never watch it again.
Yeah, unfortunately. Because we were looking so forward to it. And for a lot of the Space Jam fans, this is what we agree with. And again, we know that some people will still love this movie.
And it's fine. And
Yeah.
we're glad you found your joy in it. My joy is in the first one, not simply because it was the first one, because it appealed to everyone. And that's what we were hoping this movie would do.
Mm-hmm.
And it did not. And box office doesn't lie. It did not appeal to everyone. And it ended up on streaming very quickly and on DVD because it didn't do well. And yes, we know that all the time you can't trust box office. But in this case, you can trust the box office, and you can trust the reviews,
Yeah.
and you can trust that it didn't even go viral on Twitter. It didn't even trend, because I think people were just hoping for more. So if you've seen Space Jam 2, a new leg, Space Jam 2, let us know what you think in the comments below.
Right.
If you haven't seen it, it's available on HBO Max. You can buy it,
Yeah.
you can rent it. Someone will probably give it to you if they bought a copy. Watch it and let us know what you think in the comments as well. And do you agree or disagree? This movie was lackluster and not what we expected in a sequel. After waiting decades for a sequel, we really hope that this was going to be the movie that, hey, now you got, as basketball likes to say, you got a universe going. You got Space Jam 1, you have Space Jam 2, and then maybe they did a 3, and just keep it going and bringing us joy. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. So be sure to like, subscribe, and notification updates on future podcasts and more Paws videos.
Yes, and we're sorry this went on longer than we expected, but I guess we just really wanted to let you know what about this movie didn't appeal to us and may not have appealed to you either. And we always like telling you honestly how we feel, without degrading anyone or tearing anyone down or just being mean. And hopefully we did that. Again, no fault of Zendaya. LeBron can only act what he was given. He could control how much he was starring in the movie. He chose to put himself more than anyone else. Hey, Don Cheadle was fantastic as the villain, as he is in everything he does. The character just didn't make sense, and Warner Brothers is to be faulted for not having all of the characters we expected, all of the animated characters, for putting Clockwork Orange characters in here in a family movie. You should be ashamed of yourself.
And not even include the original nor the remix of Space Jam song.
Oh yes, that's the final. Oh yes, how could you not?
Yeah, it was just like Mortal Kombat.
If it's a legacy, then it should have included that song.
Yeah.
New movie with that song. But hey, who are we? We're just two gals.
Right. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Mask Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.